Thanks, everybody. And I hope the use of the word authority there was tongue-in-cheek. So, but yeah, so we hand-selected some people that we respected from the alternative media, and it was hard to narrow it down to a panel like this because it's growing, and there's a lot of people who are beginning to contribute to this and be a part of it, which is positive on so many levels, and maybe that's something that we're going to get into later. So we brought these guys here to speak, so when we go through, everybody's going to answer pretty much the same question one at a time from, me down. And and we're just going to start off by allowing them to introduce themselves and letting us know what got them involved and what they're passionate about. So we'll start with Jason here.
Hey everyone, my name is Jason Bassler with the Free Thought Project. Check.
There you go. All right, here we go.
Hey guys, nice to be here. My name is Jason Bassler with the Free Thought Project. Also run a few Facebook pages, Police to Police. Probably seen Cop Block around quite a bit. The Free Thought Project Facebook page. Also been working with Nick here with the Anti-Media for a while. Got into this around 2011. I was inspired when I started seeing the Occupy movement pick up steam, even though over the course of time I kind of realized that Occupy movement wasn't quite aligned with my principles. I saw the passion that was arising in the public. And not only that, just watching police manhandle and abuse protesters, it basically had my blood boiling. So that's when I kind of got involved, and that's why I'm here now.
Hello, everybody. My name's Matt Savoy. I'm editor of the Free Thought Project, right under Matt Agarist, if you've ever read that, maybe not. I have a little different background than most people that are in activism. I started my activism right after I got out of the Marine Corps. Except for like Adam Kokesh, you know, he's also a Marine Corps veteran. But I started in my early 20s wanting to kill everybody that the government told me that I should kill. And I would have continued that route had I not miraculously broken free from that bondism and or bondage and gotten out. And I've since looked back at that, and I've been able to deconstruct it and hopefully like apply my writing and my activism towards helping other people break free from that same bondage. And for the last decade, that's what I've been doing. I've been just writing and trying to wake up as many people as possible. And everybody wants to blame the individual, and it's not so much the individual, it's just this giant system that we have, and the system perpetuates violence, and being on the distributing end of the violence, it just, that's what has given me this certain perspective that has led to my activism, and that's why Jason and I started the Free Thought Project together, and it's been downhill ever since. And here's Nick.
How's it going, everyone? Thanks for being here and listening to us. I'm Nick Burnaby. I'm the founder of the Anti-Media. We started the Anti-Media back in probably around 2011, 2012. Jason here, the first one that spoke, was actually with me at the beginning there, and we've grown together, and we've kind of branched off and are doing our own things now. But the overall reason, I think, why this media movement and why we started the Anti-Media and why we are the Anti-Media is because the media has become complicit in all of these problems that everyone else has been talking about: tyranny, injustice, inequality, racism. Everything that we're all affected by is reinforced by the mainstream media or the corporate media We don't even like to call them the mainstream media anymore because we don't really think that they are dictating the news cycle anymore. I think social media dictates the news cycle. So, you know, language I think is a key factor in this movement, and knowing how to apply it. The mainstream is no longer the mainstream. It's a jumbled mess, and we're trying to make sense of it. And that's why we need everyone's help, and that's what I think this new media movement is about. The old media is these centralized corporations. I'm pretty sure everyone here is familiar with the fact that 6 corporations own 95% of the media, and these same corporations are very much in bed with the military-industrial complex. They're very much in bed with the Senate, the Congress, the executive branch, they have shared board members on all kinds of different corporations, and all of these corporations are also in bed with the government. So the reason why I think this media movement is so important is that we have to understand that the media is very much complicit in our agony and our pain. The way that we can stop it is by our sheer numbers. Everybody that's in the audience right now, I mean, we're all editors of websites and stuff that may get, you know, viral articles every now and then, but the whole fact of the matter is that it's people everywhere that are the ones that are taking these videos and making this content. And I think that's the most important factor that we need to really push forward, is that everybody can participate in this, whether it's on Twitter, whether it's on Livestream, Ustream, posting videos on YouTube, just recording footage on your phone. There's a case that is gone very viral in recent days from North Carolina, where a cop shot a guy in the back, and previously he lied and said that he was arguing that the suspect was fighting with him for his taser. We find out later on that the video disproves everything the guy was saying. So this just goes to show that anybody, anywhere, no matter where you're at, if something's happening, you can participate in the media movement. And that is how we beat this centralized media conglomerate that we're facing right now. 6 corporations. How do we beat them? Through people, and not through agendas, not through politics, not through coercion. We're trying to fight against that. So what do we do? Decentralize, open source, and it's got to be participatory. Everybody can join in. That's basically why I'm doing this. I think that's how we can push forward and get some progress.
Hi, everybody. My name is S.M. Gibson. I am the editor-at-large with Anti-Media. Nick brought me on about a couple of years ago, I guess. He found me online making images. I make art, along with other stuff. I do anti-media radio as well. I was probably in my freshman and my only year of college, which is what got me started. We were in a political science class, which was my major at the time. And what they were telling me, it didn't make sense. I was paying money to be told something that I didn't believe was true, and I felt like I needed to go a different route. And you know, I feel like I believe what I know, but that doesn't mean you believe the same way. And I felt like with university system and progress, and that people should be able to allow to think for themselves and learn for themselves. So my whole goal is not to get you or to get anyone to believe like me, is for you to get to think for yourselves. And so I stepped away from that, and that's why I do what I do, I guess. Thank you.
My name is Luke Radowski. We are change.org. And just a short intro. At the age of 15, I was beat up by the cops. And ever since then, I had just been on this total justice rampage that actually led me to get beat up and arrested even more than I did before. But in that process, we were able to give a voice for the voiceless. We were able to fire cops, hold them accountable. People who were in prison were freed because of the information we provided. We inspired countless numbers of people, but most importantly, we pissed off a very few of them who really run things behind the scenes. So, you just mentioned one thing. I just want to say something. You said the media is complicit. No, The media they're criminal motherfuckers, and they deserve to go to jail. Because of them, we are facing the problems we are facing. It is the lack of information that is causing the problems, and communication and proper, just one-on-one working and solving the problems that we face could change everything, and it will. Thank you.
So one thing that I often hear discussed in the mainstream, or not, in the new mainstream media, which is the alternative media. So, you know, when I listen to shows like the guy who introduced me, Bob Tuskin, one thing that he always says is, what is it that the news isn't reporting? Whenever there's some crazy hype story, you know, it's always good to kind of try to read between the lines and see what isn't being reported. So I'm kind of curious what our panelists think the most important story of this past year is that is underreported or not reported at all. And that, you know, it's a tough question, but I think it's worth asking.
Test. All right, it's working this time. To me, when Baby Boo, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the case with the SWAT team who threw a flash grenade into the crib of a toddler. It was a pretty horrible incident, and it certainly serviced in the media, but I feel like that's one of the cases that could easily be expanded upon as far as us individually sharing that. When a toddler is subjected to that kind of violence, it's beyond comprehensible, you know, and we have to really take a look at the state and the way it actually handles and processes all these different I think the cable came undone again.
Hello? All right, we're good.
So yeah, to me, I believe the Baby Boo story was underreported. I feel like it's one of those things that could emotionally resonate with a lot of people. So we really need to focus on these types of information that people are going to resonate with emotionally. We could obviously put out a ton of logic and rationale and try to explain to them why the state is violent and how, you know, but I think more or less people respond to the emotional side of things. So if we can, you know, try to focus on something specific like a toddler's face being blown off by a SWAT team.
Yeah, I agree. A toddler's face being blown off by a SWAT team is a fucking horrific image, and it resonates with a lot of people. Just like the video that it's not the most underreported video in the media right now. It's on every TV. It was, in fact, we were having some iced tea at the bar, and the Walter Scott video was playing on CNN. And then for the three people in here that don't know who Walter Scott is, he's the black man that ran from the cop in South Carolina and was shot in the back 8 times, and he did nothing. And the cop said he struggled for his taser and he feared for his life, and he had to shoot this guy 8 times in the back. And anyway, everybody knows about that, but nobody knows about Philip White. How many people in here know who Philip White is? Josie does, because Josie wrote the article about Philip White. And Philip White was also another young man whose life was ended tragically this week. And it was also captured on film, but his death was much more gruesome. He was mauled to death by a canine, unconscious. He was beaten unconscious, and sorry, I'm getting emotional about this, but he was beaten unconscious, and then the officer said, "Get him," to this dog. And the dog comes over to him and is tearing unconscious body apart. And it's being filmed, and the people filming are saying, he's unconscious, pull the dog off of him, pull the dog off him. What are you doing? And they didn't. And this guy died several hours after this, after they feared for their lives, after the state feared for their lives, that they had to go home to their children that night. So they sicked a dog on an unconscious man. And there's lots of unknown stories out there, but this one hit home like this week, and it's just like it flew under the radar, you know, and it was captured on video. And everybody's interested in what's on CNN, you know. This article actually went viral on the Free Thought Project. Josie Wales, who was just up here speaking, she wrote about it, and she covered the video, and she covered it twice. There was 2 different videos. One was the dash cam, which didn't show very much, and the next one was like, it was right there, and they showed this horrific, disgusting video. And it went viral on our site, because we have some awesome viewers who know what a police state looks like, and they choose to expose it to their friends and family. And that's the most underreported story for me.
If I could just add to that really quick, I mean, are we being desensitized with all these police violence stories day in and day out? I mean, how many people are really affected by each story? I mean, honestly, are we all? It's hard to be emotionally affected by each and every story, right? I mean, it's horrid as these are, but unfortunately, it seems like a lot of times, so.
One of the stories for me, it's not Hillary Clinton's emails. It's actually, oh, I said not Hillary Clinton's emails. I was hoping that you didn't know what I was talking about. So basically, there's this huge media spectacle over Hillary Clinton's emails. Did she use her own server? Did she delete the emails? Blah, 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 blah. It's not really gonna change anything or affect anybody. But one thing that has gone way underreported, and it's not technically from this year, it's actually dates back to 2011, 2012, is the U.S. government's role in overthrowing the government of Libya and assassinating Gaddafi, and all of the chain reaction of events that have played out since then is something that our media, our corporate media here in the U.S. refuses to talk about. They won't tell you that Libya has become a completely failed state. They won't tell you that there's been at least 50,000 people, civilians, casualties in Libya since the U.S. overthrew Gaddafi. We're talking about 50,000 human beings being killed because of America's foreign policy, and it happens so often that it's literally swept under the rug. I mean, Libya is not on the front of anybody's mind. I don't think about Libya every day, but I write about it because I know that it's something that is so important. This foreign policy of the U.S., it's so enormous, and it's so destructive, and it's these very same foreign policy ideas that undermine our freedom. First of all, with laws like the Patriot Act, ideas like the NSA, the CIA, the FBI manufacturing their own terror plots and things like that. But on the other side of the coin is the blowback that we all get from all these overthrowing governments in Libya. Now we're starting to see the infamous ISIS taking root in Libya, and we all know the only reason ISIS came about is because we overthrew Saddam Hussein. And if it weren't for the fact that we had overthrown that country, there would be no such thing as ISIS right now. So it's like these chain reactions, and I don't want to say we allow it, but these events take place, and the government that supposedly represents us gets away with it. And in a huge way, it's because the media is not talking about it. And it's something that where, like, when we write articles about Libya and we write articles about what's going on in Yemen and Syria, it's like not that many people want to read that stuff. But the thing is that these are some of the topics that truly, truly undermine all of our rights and freedoms and liberties, and they also steal from us all because we all have to pay for this stuff. I mean, all this foreign policy stuff comes out of somebody's pockets. Yeah, they may print money out of thin air, but in the end, we are either us or our children are going to have to be the collateral behind all of this money that's being created. And a huge chunk of it's being spent on foreign policy. The U.S. spends more than every other country combined on foreign policy. I mean, there's no one that even comes close. It's almost a $1 trillion industry, and in the end, it isn't really protecting us. But the problem is, the media just covers for it nonstop. And whether it's supposedly independent outlets that sometimes cover controversial things, the Washington Post, the New York Times, and sometimes they seem a little bit edgy, but in the end, they never question the true problem with the foreign policy. And of course, Fox and CBS and CNN aren't going to question it. In fact, they are the main propagandists that try to trick us into supporting these unjust things. So to me, it's like, it's not just the underreported topic of this year, it's like the underreported topic for basically the last 50 years is our foreign policy, the Monroe Doctrine, the corporate resource foreign policy taking place in the Middle East, the Cold War communism containment. I mean, all of this stuff was based on just fear-mongering. It wasn't based on real threats to our freedom. The only threat that we actually face is the politicians, the state, taking the resources to go bomb people, which in turn creates enemies for us back at home. I mean, it's the craziest, most insane thing, and that's, I think, what the media should be focusing on, but it just doesn't.
I've got two quick ones that kind of underline what everybody else up here said. Hello, hello. There we go.
Free your mic.
There we go. Check, check. All right, two quick ones real quick. It's going to kind of underline everything everybody up here has already said. One, me and John worked on a couple of months ago. A kid named Derek Cruz in Florida got his face blown off by police officers in Deltona, Florida, for selling weed. Kid's never shot a gun. He was never violent. The media did not report it. There was no arrest. There were 8 people in the house. They arrested no one for having weed in the house. Blew his head off. He's dead. His family's mourning. And it was not reported on Fox, NBC, CBS, ABC, CNN, whatever. And it's absolutely a tragedy, and there's a family suffering over that. And it just completely infuriates me that you can, and first off, you have to remember, Florida is a state that a few months ago, 56% of the state voted to legalize marijuana, but they had to have a 60% supermajority. So more than half the state wanted to legalize it, and they blow a kid's head off for it. That's absolutely insane. The media's not even going to report it. The second thing is what Nick's talking about and the foreign policy in this country. First off, ISIS was created because we're going to fund Syrian rebels, and John McCain went on record in the past year saying that we fund ISIS, we're intimately involved with ISIS. I intimately know these people, and yet the media doesn't want to report on that. And they don't want to report about the fact that Saudi Arabia, who we're completely in bed with, has the exact same ideologies as ISIS, and we have no problem with that. They behead as many people as ISIS. They beheaded 70-something people last year. They're on track to behead over 150 people this year. But that's completely okay because, you know, we're their friends, and they hold hands with the Bushes in Crawford, Texas. So I think those are the two biggest stories going on right now.
The number one story that, to me, is being censored is just the very fact that in one day, today, you consume more information than people did their entire lives just 2 generations ago. The thing that is being suppressed is that when you look at the human historical record, right now, our lifespan, our health is better than it ever was before. If you look at crime, if you look at death, if you look at murder, it is the lowest it has been in human recorded history. But you wouldn't know about that, would you? Because you're watching the corporate horror stream media who's showing you all these ridiculous, stupid things that distract you from the real things that matter. Now, they do this for a reason, and the reason this story is underreported is because it's bad for business. Because if the mainstream media could make you feel afraid, if they could make you feel scared, if they could play with your emotions and send that negativity into you, you don't look within yourself. You don't become the strongest, best version of yourself, and you look for other things to fill that void within yourself. That's why when you go to McDonald's, they play sad music. You know why they play sad music at McDonald's? So you stuff your face in with the frickin' Big Macs because you're depressed and you feel sad, because that's what you do. You consume because you feel empty, and that's their whole paradigm. That's what they're doing. That's how they're trying to trick us. Check. An illusion is breaking, and life is better than it ever was before. And that, to me, is the number one underreported story this year.
Wow.
Luke's really good.
That was all really good stuff and ended awesomely. Wow. Oh man, I feel bad to take it down since we're on such a high note now, but one thing that I kind of wanted to discuss was a slight concern of mine is that one thing that I've always appreciated about this kind of, renegade media culture is that although we do have sometimes significant philosophical differences, that we all kind of work towards this common goal of freedom. And, recently I noticed that sometimes there tends to be even a little bit of the same tendency that you see in the mainstream media, where it's just people sticking to their ideologies and a lot of infighting and stuff like that. Some people think that's a problem, some people don't. I kind of wanted to get the thoughts of the people on the panel on that. We could start again with Jason.
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's healthy to flush out ideas and question certain principles and theories. I think it becomes detrimental to us as a whole when we start attacking each other. Vitriol becomes more important than actually trying to focus on the solutions and the positive information. So I think that it has its place. I don't know if it's necessarily something that we need to, I would say, continue to propagate, because there are, it seems like, some hotheads in this movement, and they are looking for attention or whatever. So to me, I think it is more important probably to focus on just the solutions, the positiveness, the infighting. It's healthy to question perspectives, but other than that, it just, to me, it becomes detrimental. So not only that, but people from the outside look in, they start to see us as maybe children fighting over very specific, information that doesn't even really apply to the real world. I mean, there's so much theory out there. So more or less, I think it has its place, but we need to focus on staying strong, unifying our message, and really trying to work to end the state. More or less, that's the solution in my mind. So.
What was the?
Jason said it.
We need some tape. Free my mic. All right. Jason said it best. Like, infighting is completely ridiculous, and that's never going to lead to any type of positive change. It's just it'll build some people up and break some people down. And it's the same way when you try to promote activism on an individual basis. If you're trying to tell your mother-in-law about the Federal Reserve, you go in the room, and if you the fucking Federal Reserve's out to kill everybody. She's not going to be very receptive, But if you go in there and you're like, hey, mother-in-law, have you heard of the Federal Reserve? Have you heard of the income tax? And you take it from that approach. Like, that's what stops infighting from the get-go. There's no reason to infight because there's no reason to be vitriolic from the fucking start. Like, be happy that, like, I get in very, very few arguments, and most of those are with my wife, but that's because we live together and we have to argue. But when I can sit down in a room with some statist, communist, crazy Illuminati believing, worshiping, whatever you want to, reptilian, and him and we can have a rational conversation, As long as he doesn't try to punch me in the face, I'm good. No one wants to be punched in the face, and if you start out your day, treating people like you feel like not being punched in the face, then I think we're good. There's no reason to infight, and infighting won't happen. And if somebody does try to punch you in your face, then you kill them. I mean, I don't mean kill. That was bad. But it's like a Malcolm X quote that one of my favorites is, treat everybody with respect and peace. And if someone lays their hands on you, I just drew a blank, but you could finish it. Google that. Anyway, yeah, infighting is petty, and there's no need for that. You catch more ants with honey than you do with hammering them. So.
Check. Okay, cool. We're good. I guess I'm going to have to agree with... Josie's probably going to be the most highly cited speaker at the conference because she touched on this idea that I want to talk about too, as well as both of the guys before me, is that this whole idea of freedom and all this stuff that we're fighting for and freedom and justice, liberty, all these ideas, the most complicated but at the same time the most beautiful part of it is that part of being free is the ability and even the responsibility to disagree with each other and to hold different ideas and to hold competing ideas and to think differently, because if we all think alike, then that's going to eventually end back into a tyrannical situation. We don't want that. So this whole idea about infighting, when it gets taken to a degree where it's like, I don't want to be your friend anymore because you think differently, that's completely petty, and it just leads us into irrelevancy. But to say, hey, I completely disagree with you, but at the same time, I still respect your ideas and I still want to be your friend, that's when we start making progress, and we can start respecting other people's opinions, their ways of life, the way they do things, the way they think about ideas. I mean, whether they're religious, whether they practice yoga, whatever it is, like to judge people on those ideas. I mean, as ridiculous as that sounds, it happens. So, check. Sorry, we're having some mic here, obviously. Basically, the point I want to get to is that infighting at a basic scale is fine, and it's the vetting of ideas, it's competing ideas against each other to find out which ones work best. And keep in mind, when we're sitting there having cutthroat arguments over theoretical stuff that no one's ever tried, that's even more extremely, irrational. We have to apply ideas in real life to actually find out if they work. So unless we're talking about things that are being tried and tested, then to have extremely serious arguments that divide movements or divide groups of people over them, I think we're taking it a step too far. The whole point is that we should work with each other and let the idea that we have disagreements, that we have differences, unite us. The whole fact is that the only thing we have in common is that we all have things that are different. between each and every individual one of us. So that's the one thing that I think can bring us all together. So I think the infighting that takes place that I've seen, and thankfully it's mostly been irrelevant, it's destructive. The differences can bring us together, and that's, I think, the direction that we should go in.
Check, check. So it's cool that I think reptilians are awesome, right? So, I mean, basically, it's human nature. I think Nick just kind of stole my thunder, but it's human nature. You know, there's some people that have an ego, and they kind of get off on the infighting. And, you know, there's other people that just can't accept that there's somebody else that has a different opinion of them. And I think that with everybody in this room, with everybody, you know, on this panel here tonight, we probably, between the five of us, don't agree on a lot of things, but we agree on certain things, and that's why we've come together to work together. And I think that's what's important for everybody in this room, for everybody out here on this planet, is to come together on the things you agree on, and let's change those things. And everybody wants to focus on the negative and focus on the 10% of the stuff they don't believe in. But it's time to come together and stop the infighting and stop focusing on just the 10% or whatever the percentage is of the crap we don't agree on.
All right, so I've been in this movement for about 14 years, 14 long, antagonizing years, and I've been slandered, libeled, manipulated, extorted, you name it. I faced it all. And from a lot of other people that I worked with and collaborated with, a lot of times situations always work out fine because I always keep my word, but sometimes people don't. Sometimes you get stabbed in the back, sometimes you get screwed over. But throughout my whole career, have I ever publicly started something with somebody? No, never, because I don't got time for that. There's so much work to do. There's so many problems that we have to go after. There's so many communication channels that we have to open. There's so much work that needs to get done. I don't have time for that. You just let the negativity kind of slide and just bounce off of you as much as you can. And I don't respond to it. I don't highlight it. I don't talk about it because for me, it doesn't serve any purpose except for my egotistical purpose of trying to get back at somebody. When in reality, the long scheme of things, those little things don't matter. What matters is what you do. And you want to be judged for your work. You want to be judged by the fruits of your labor. And if you're going to be talking crap about other people, people will see exactly who you are. Now, of course, I do agree that there needs to be some kind of discernment. There does need to be some accountability, especially if someone who's in our realm is doing something that is hurting others or manipulating others, such as saying that Fukushima is going to poison all of the West Coast and then selling the Fukushima cure for $19.95. Someone who says Ebola is going to take out half of the world's population and then sells you the Ebola cure for $25.95. Someone who says, what else? What was there? The economy and the dollar's going to crash, but you need to buy gold and silver from my affiliate market. We need to do it right now because we're all doomed, right? So that kind of accountability needs to be there, but it never should be personal because then we don't get to the truth. We only get to the ego if we keep it personal. So if you see a problem, say it, but never, ever keep it personal.
Awesome. Well, so the alternative media is definitely expanding. That's one of the themes of the conference, and we're reaching more people. More people are starting to care, and the mainstream media that has propagandized us for our entire lives is now dying. So, yeah.
Hey, John.
So-
John. Oh, I'm sorry. John, I was going to ask you if I could say something about the mainstream media dying, and I don't think it's so much the mainstream media dying as it's the rest of us actually living. There's more of us waking up than they've always been there, but now people are shaken from their stupor and paying attention.
That's an absolutely better way of looking at it. I like that. So that's perfect. Now that this actual transition is happening, what do you guys think that we can do moving forward to improve this and to, what advice would you have to new media producers who are, going to face the challenges that you guys did?
To me, I feel like it's really important to make sure we keep the message somewhat simple, right? We don't want to make it too complicated to the point where people who aren't familiar with these concepts are just overwhelmed with the ideas. So I always try to keep in my head whenever we're doing anything social media realm it's actually an acronym I was sharing with these guys earlier. It's KISS, keep it simple, stupid, because unfortunately there's a lot of people out there that a lot of this stuff is just very new to them. They're not familiar with the concept of liberty. They're not familiar with the concept of statism. They don't even understand what statism is. So to me, I think it's very, in my work anyway, throughout my day, it's crucial to try to make sure we find that balance with sharing information that could resonate with people, but it doesn't overwhelm them. And a lot of times when I see people starting off with social media, I notice that they're so passionate about a lot of the information they're trying to convey that they will pack way too much into like a simple meme or a story that they write. And most of the time people, it's fast food culture as far as it comes to information intellectually, memes, that's fast food as far as information goes. People, they don't want to read more than the headline. So we have to kind of make sure that we're engaging. We're trying to get people to click on this stuff because the best written article isn't the best written article unless people read it, right? So it's really important, as far as I'm concerned, to make sure that we're not dumbing it down to water the message, but we're still being precise and strategic with the way that we present the information. So it's something to keep in mind anyway. You want it digestible, not necessarily universally something that everyone is gonna want it to understand, but I think the more we can spread this information out to universally be applied, the more people are gonna be interested, the seeds are gonna be planted, and we'll have more people on our side rooting for liberty, so.
Yeah, Jason's right. He was talking about how to deliver the message, and that's 100% is that it has to be delivered, but there has to be a message, and remaining silent is never going to create a message. So the first step to any spreading of a message is just talking about it. Write an article, take a picture, take a video, put it on YouTube. Social media is huge. Like the Facebook pages, if you know how to if you know how to edit in Photoshop, start a Facebook page. There are very few people on Facebook, believe it or not, there are very few people on Facebook that know how to use Photoshop. And if you have any type of knowledge on Photoshop, you could create a page, and in 6 months, it could have 50,000 followers, and you could be, influencing thousands and thousands of people. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I started, and that's exactly how Jason started, I think. And I mean, that's all I did was start a Facebook page. I had been writing and for these other sites that had been republishing my material for years, and they were just publishing my articles and generating ad revenue for themselves. And I was glad that my information was getting out. And then one day I was like, hey, they have these things called Facebook pages, and you could start one. And so I learned Photoshop, and I started making these graphics, and people loved them, and they would reach thousands and thousands of people. And you don't even have to know Photoshop. If you can make a 134 character sentence appeal to people, you could start a Twitter and then start, influencing people on Twitter. And it's not about influencing people. It's about spreading the message of freedom and peace and being successful at that. And if you remain silent, then that's never going to happen. So I guess all I'm saying is just get out there and do it. Just never shut up. Tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell your wife, tell your husband. If they don't want to hear it, be very nice. Don't tell them to go fuck themselves. But, you know, hey, draw a picture. You know, write 134 characters out. Spread peace. That's how it's going to happen.
Check. I kind of touched on it in my intro. My first point here is that I think it's really important that we increase the amount of citizen journalism out there. Every single person has the ability to upload video or to tweet information, record information, take audio recordings, whatever it may be, take photos. There are plenty of like free tools out there to get started. You could use WordPress.com, Blogspot, Ustream, Livestream, all these different, options are already there to start with nothing. You literally don't even have to have a website to start these things. The second thing I think that's really important now with this new media movement is that, especially when we're talking about like startup journalism operations and anyone out there that's thinking of like writing a blog or starting a blog, is to really let your attitude like flow through it and let your personality like be heard through your writing. And I think that's a great way of connecting with people that you're trying to connect with, and try to spread these ideas in innovative avenues. I mean, we can all put out cut, dry, AP style articles. Anybody can do that. But to really connect with an audience at like a personal level, I think is the future of this microblogging or upstart blogging. Anyone that's here that's trying to start up, I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. For us on the anti-media, I mean, we do a little bit of both. We have a lot of basic informational articles, but then we have a lot of op-eds where we're just ripping into people and doing making maybe extreme statements at times against these war criminals that are out there making our lives miserable, robbing us of our resources, and all these things. There's got to be this new resurgent journalism, I think, and it's not really it's a whole new style. And the fact of the matter is, anybody can pick up their phone and their laptop or whatever, their tablet, and start writing. And the only way you know if you can do it is if you try. Just like Matt was saying, there's no reason not to try it. You can start out for free, and then if it starts growing into something, it starts growing into something.
Email it all to contact@thefreethoughtproject.com. Just saying.
But yeah, that's basically it. I'm a huge fan of like decentralized media. The third little point I just want to make is that there's a huge need for people that can make sense of all of this existing media. Like people are I don't know how many tweets are tweeted out per second, how many posts are posted per minute on Facebook, but there's a need to gather this information and aggregate it and be able to build stories around these types of media platforms that are already existing. So you can build, we do articles sometimes that solely consist of tweets. I mean, it's an article, but it's just 10 tweets. So to make sense of all of this new media, all of this social media, I think is a major way for anyone out there trying to break into this media platform. That's a way that would really benefit everyone else that's already existing in it as well, is to start trying to make sense of this massive amounts, these billions of posts that are made every day, because that's something that it's just something that's so huge of an obstacle, so huge of a task that it's like, it's something that we need to crowdsource to try to make it happen. And technology, I think apps, people that can design algorithms and make sense of this stuff, that's a whole other side of it that we really need to really move this thing forward. Because I'm really confident in the fact that this old stream media, this corporate media is really on the way out. It's really pretty much done. And as long as we could start making sense of all of this citizen journalism that's existing, everyone that uses Twitter, everyone that uses Facebook, in one way or another, you're posting a photo or you're making a status about something that happened, you're committing an act of journalism. In some places, that's a crime. Like in Fullerton, California, one of our journalists is being charged with committing an act of journalism and may face up to 6 months in prison. But we need more people to resist it. They can't arrest us all. They can't arrest an idea. That's basically it.
Exactly. Awesome. Nick Barnaby. All right.
Check, check. Real quick, just be fearless. If you want to see something out there, don't wait on somebody else to do it for you. You can do it yourself. You see these people up here? They're not the media. You're the media. You can go out there. You put it on your Facebook page. You can put it on your Twitter account. What you want other people to see, you post it. You let people know about it. You spread the word. You are the media. And it's the people that's going to make the change.
I thought that was the guy next to you. We are change. Wait a second. All right. Luke Rudowski.
I think we all know the mainstream media sucks major balls.
Yeah.
I think we're all on the same page of that. And I don't think there's anybody else that really wants the mainstream media, but it's there. It's there for a reason. My philosophy and my plan has always been, we could talk about how horrible the mainstream media is all day long until we get blue in the face. But if you really want to replace them, you do it by doing their job better for them. You embarrass them, you just grab them and tear them up a new butthole by being the best reporter that you could be. And the more we diversify, the more we expand, the more we grow, and we all take this major responsibility within ourselves, the sooner the mainstream media will be obsolete. No one will need it, no one will want it. But right now, in this very day and age, right now, today, we are not there yet. I mean, you guys do amazing, killer work. But there's only 5 of us. But there's other people doing really incredible work all over the world. But there needs to be a lot more. There needs to be more investigative journalism. There needs to be more confrontations. There needs to be more on-the-ground reporting. There needs to be more people taking this seriously, and I think we're headed in that direction. We're headed there because of everyone's participation, and that's why I started Change Media University, an online university program that will teach you how to be a journalist. If you want to sneak into an event where fat-ass potato head Henry Kissinger is spilling food all over himself as he's receiving the Freedom Award, and you want to give him a reality check by reminding him that he's wanted for war crimes all around the world, if you want to do that, I will teach you how to do that from point A to point Z, how to start your own news organization, get your own press credentials, get into those events, and piss off and ask the questions and hold the people accountable that never are held accountable.
Luke Rudowski, we are change.
High school students get it for free.